Welcome to the Circle Sessions featuring the Circle of Experts. Each week, one of the Circle of Experts joins me to talk about critical aspects of growing your podcast. We focus on marketing, social media, monetization, and website design to help you implement all of these together. The Circle of Experts are Yasmin Robles from Robles Designs, Tanisha English Amamu of TJE Communications, and Don the Idea Guy. I'm Brett Johnson from Circle 270 Media Podcast Consultants. This week, Don is here with the Circle of Experts. He possesses creative powers beyond those of mere mortals. Don the Idea Guy rescues those in need of innovative ideas through his brainstorming sessions. They are at $5 Brainstorms. Don, thanks for joining me again today.
Aloha, my friend. I just got back from the Big Island.
Yeah, exactly. Sounded like you had a really good time and got to explore a new island that you guys have not seen or really inhabited before for a while. That's good.
It was a blast. Had not been there before. Very interesting things that would make a good podcast on its own.
Yeah,
Stuff
exactly.
I found on the way. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, we've taken a few weeks off talking about some stuff, but obviously AI is now kind of been, it's now more of a news story of what's new iterations of it, what's been implemented in platforms we already know about. And one new addition is on a platform both you and I really enjoy using, Captivate FM. They have this new Spark AI podcast assistant that you noted in our notes that you caught your eye at least. And I'll let you kind of jump in, kind of go why it caught your eye, and I can give you some detail on what I saw from the video presentation.
Yeah, they sent out the press release, and I thought it was really interesting about how they were using AI. It wasn't like we'll discuss in another segment today, but it wasn't so much solely an AI podcasting tool. It was utilizing AI technology to make their podcasting tools better. And the things that really caught my eye were the fact that it was going to be able to long-term give you a lot of insights into your podcast stats. So you kind of plug this into your Captivate program, and you were at the actual launch, the unveiling, so you got to see more demos than I did. But just based on the bullet points, it was going to be able to look at your statistics and let you know which shows were performing better. It was going to save you kind of combing through these analytic reports, and it was going to give you summarized details on, hey, these shows are more popular, so here are some ideas for future show topics. I mean, that's a great way to analyze that information. Mm-hmm. The other thing I thought could be very valuable if it was good at what it was doing was that it could give you ideas on where to insert advertisements, because so many people are really bad at inserting ads, whether you leave it to the automated podcast ad insertion platforms or you're just kind of calling it by your gut and going, hey, an ad would sound good here. This thing's going to give you insights based on where your listeners are. You know, this is the most engaging piece, or this would be a bad plan. People are dropping off here. Definitely don't put an ad here. So I don't know how it's going to do those calculations because, you know, it's magic. It's AI. But I thought it sounded really interesting. What did you think? What was your takeaway after seeing the actual launch?
I thought it was a good tool to insert with what they're doing with Captivate FM. All the things you noted as well can all based on transcript. I thought, as you pointed out, where to insert an ad or a promo or whatever you want to do. It's going to learn as it goes along of how you transition into your podcast as well. So it's going to pick a moment that makes sense versus just, an ad campaign that just inserts something wherever there's a pause, possibly, that sort of thing. So it's going to try to read your flow of what you're talking about and such too. And, and to that point, I wanted to go a little bit deeper into, we'll get back to Captivate Spark AI, but to your point about inserting an ad, you really need to think differently about how to insert ads. And it should be more than just inserting an ad. Give your audience a little bit of heads up when they're listening that you're going to, hey, we'll be back right after this. Even if you insert a little bit of that, then just sticking an ad in, give your listeners something to go on that it's a commercial break.
The abrupt in all of a sudden there's an ad playing. YouTube is probably the worst of this. You think Google would be better, but those YouTube videos, it's just somebody's talking, they're mid-sentence, and all of a sudden the ad starts playing.
Right.
What are you doing?
And I bring that up because, okay, now you have a tool with Captivate FM, which is great through Spark AI, that allows you to pick some moments to put ads, but you've got to take it the next step of just don't insert something without allowing a little bit of, hey, thanks for listening. We'll be back right after this. And now back to the show. Kind of create those two audio pieces, insert them, and you're golden. It sounds much better. You're not going to tick off your listener. But anyway,
Well, no, hold
just
on
do
though,
it
because I'm
better.
going to
Just do
build
it
on
better.
that, because why not use AI for that? So
You
if
could.
Spark can tell you where an ad would fit best, why can't it find the natural pause or break in the conversation? And why doesn't it come in with an AI voice to say, hey, that was a great point from Brett. We're going to be back where Brett can finish his thought and cover the rest of that information. But first, here's a word from our sponsor. And then go, and now back to the show.
Mm-hmm.
What they should absolutely build that. The AI voices, as we're going to talk about here a little bit later, can act as a co-host anymore. Why not make that another natural extension of what Captivate's doing with Spark AI? It would
Right.
certainly add some additional value.
Yes, it would. And it would be easy enough to do because it's
Absolutely.
not necessarily recognizing the voice. It just knows what you put in the transcript, who is saying that term. So it's saying, it's reading what you told it that, yes, this is Don talking. This is Brett talking. So it knows
Well,
when it's taking the break. Yeah.
I mean, AI understands context
Mm-hmm.
now. I
Yeah.
mean, anything you've searched in, what I've taken to doing with ChatGPT is I'll paste in a block of text and go, do you understand this? And it'll go, why, yeah, I understand. You're talking about this, this, and this. I'm like, excellent. Now I can ask it a question in context. So if the AI is taking the audio, creating the transcript, now it has the copy, and it can interpret that copy and give it context and flow. Why wouldn't it be able to have a co-host
Mm-hmm.
be your announcer and call that break?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. It's your producer behind the scenes putting stuff together for you as it
Yes.
goes. Yes. So yeah, along with the transcript, obviously it's developing that for you, but it can also give chapters as well. So I mean that's going to become a thing down the road. Some chapters, and of course those are if you have the right podcast app player, you'll see chapters show up as it plays, and you can put chapters in that basically are markers in time that you are suggesting listeners go to that are, this is a great moment. This is a great moment. You should go here. Or it can be let's go back to the ad. The ad could be a marker, and you put a little a thumbnail artwork of your sponsor right there with a link. So that's
Yep.
another value added to your sponsor that, yeah, besides having an ad at Mark 22 in the podcast, I'm also going to put a link there. I'm going to put a little thumbnail artwork of your product. So that listener sees where it is and can go there and actually go through the link and buy your product. So
Yeah,
lots
these
of neat
things that
things.
Captivate's adding in, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're building in additional value, and
Mm-hmm.
they're treating AI as it should be, not as a creative on its own, but as a partner and
Yeah.
an assistant
Mm-hmm.
to help you better produce the things that you're producing, whether it's writing or artwork or podcasts.
Right. And if you
But it
haven't,
should be your assistant. And I think
yeah,
an analytical assistant, because I hate going through
yeah,
Google Analytics. I hate reading charts and graphs. And the value that it's going to have increases over time. The more stats it has to go through and give
yeah.
you summaries on, the more valuable the tool becomes. So
Right.
I think it's a fantastic use of AI
It
in
is,
podcasting.
exactly. And we've been going on and on about it. We have no affiliate, link to Captivate FM or anything. We're not part of the company. It's a great tool that makes sense to insert with what they're doing. And again, if you already have tools that you're using for your transcript, like another one that I love, Cast Magic, is doing a fantastic job. That may do the job for you already. But if you haven't taken the dive and buying some type of transcription software, and you're on Captivate, this is probably a good one. Just go with this. Don't look at anything outside because it incorporates it so well. If you have something on the outside, you may teeter. It's one of those, do I spend this? I got it all here, but this does, take it case by case, depending on who you work with. I think on a larger level, like myself with Circle 270 Media, I can look at it as, offering it to my clients and I build it in. It's one of those that they want it sort of thing. Independence, every dollar matters. I totally get that, but if it can save you time, it's worth the money they're asking. It's really not that much,
Didn't
honestly.
Captivate already have transcription as part of their normal?
No, this is their first hit at it.
Really?
They did not do anything with it. This
I
is the
thought they already
first.
had that.
This is the first AI that they have done anything within their software. Yeah, this
Who's
is it.
Justin? What's Justin Jackson's company?
Starts with an R or transistor.
Transmission
Transistor. They may
transistor.
have. Yeah.
They must be theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be. So
And speak for yourself, man. I've got affiliate codes for Captivate. I've got affiliate codes for Transistor. I don't play favorites. You want a link to a podcast tool? I've got an affiliate link for you.
there you go. Exactly. I just want to put the caveat out there. Is like, no, we're not starting off with an ad right away. We're just looking at AI. Exactly. So
well, we could.
Because
the AI didn't tell us to start out with an ad because that would be a bad idea.
It would be a bad idea. Exactly. Yeah. So you have already played with Google's new little note-taking product, NotebookLM. It's interesting that they call it a note-taking product.
It's a dumb name. It's a dumb name.
Interesting.
And I'm worried about a couple of things. One, every time I fall in love with a Google product, they discontinue it. So I know this one's not going to be around for long because they'll just discontinue it like they did with so many other things.
Because they can't make money. Is it because they can't make money on it? Is that why this stuff goes away? Or
because Google's going broke. Those poor guys. I don't know how they stay in business.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
NotebookLM. The dumb, what does the LM stand for? Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've not heard. I'm sure it stands for something. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
This thing is really, really cool. We're both from the radio background, and we know that there's the company out of Cleveland that's doing AI services where their goal is to replace on-air hosts with these AI hosts. And we both know some folks who have some podcasting tools that it'll use an AI voice to put together your podcast for you. The ones we've seen so far has been single voice, just one host. Google's NotebookLM, you feed it content. Like you can upload documents, you can give it a web link, you can paste text into it, you can give it a PDF, and it takes all this information and you click a button to say generate, and it creates a podcast or audio. It's not producing a podcast for you. It's creating an audio file that you can play within minutes, and it's co-hosted. There's two hosts. There's a male and a female, and their banter is amazing. So they take whatever information you fed it and they condense it and create this digest where it sounds very NPR-ish. It sounds like an NPR show. It could absolutely be something you hear on the air. And it's not just parroting back the content. They interact with each other. They'll make little slight jokes, and they're not hilarious like stand-up comedy. It's the jokes people make during an interview. And they're basically just talking to each other about this content, and it is put together so well. I think that you could feed it your insurance policy and it would come back and give you like this really great conversation about everything that's in the insurance policy. It's amazing. Have you tried it on your own?
I have not. I've only heard results of it, and
you've heard it though.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard it though, and it is pretty. And I forget what topic they were talking about, and it's like, okay, this is listenable. Yeah, when you have
I'm working on a historical novel, and there's a lot. It's research heavy, and I had all this research about this time period, and I fed it into it. And it did a great summary. It talked about that period in great detail between the two of them, the two of them, like the real people.
Yeah.
They did a great job of covering all the information I gave them. It was a wonderful summary of all this dry historical info. Now, as I'm doing this research, I can't ask them questions. It doesn't work like ChatGPT where you can ask follow-up questions or ask what ifs or ask them to take that information and contrast it with something else. You can't tell it what you want out of the show. It is an audible summary of the information you give it. It's entertaining, it's conversation. You could absolutely publish it as a podcast, but it's not very interactive yet. You can't send them down a path that you want them to explore at all. But man, the output right now in its first version is just, I was awestruck at how good they sounded. I've heard the demos from that company out of Cleveland that's doing the broadcast hosts
Right.
for radio stations.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And they promote it as this will be your AI co-host. It's not that good, and the jokes aren't funny, and the speech is still stilted. I defy anybody to tell me that they could tell it was a fake person. I heard maybe one word that was off the tiniest bit. It does a phenomenal job. It's free right now. I encourage anybody to go try it out and play around with this thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's that's interesting, and how they're doing it. But yet, like you said, how long will it be around? So use it as quickly as possible. So,
but, I listen to a lot of things, and a friend of mine, Scott Ginsburg, the name tag guy, he asked this great question that is, what else does this make possible? So when you see this technology and you hear the results, the first thing that pops in my head is, oh man, now what can we do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. Yeah, exactly. And, and you think, well, this will bust up podcasting. This, we just insert stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is a tool for a certain reason. Everybody gets all crazy that, oh, this is the end of because of this. It's like, no, we still have the opportunity. People want to talk and people want to do podcasts. This may be insert when you don't have somebody that can do it, or it has its uses. So yeah, we'll figure it out as we go.
Even if you used it as maybe use it as a summary tool. Let's say you're going to have a topic about, oh, okay. One of my favorite podcasts was on the pirate history. It's a pirates podcast. So this guy does a great job of retelling the stories from history, adds a lot of drama to it. You can easily take the textbook of piracy, feed it into this thing. They give a summary of this one time period, and then the host can tell some specific stories about it. Yeah. So if you need a good summarizer and you want to use something as co-host, it could be a good utility that you could work in and around it. You can't talk to it. You can't banter with it right now. But boy, if it said, we're going to here's a rundown, here's the basis. Now let's talk about what they just covered.
Right.
And give them specific instances or what ifs and that kind of thing. That gives me an idea of things to try too. That could be very cool.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's definitely something to take a look at, kick it around, see what's going on. So yeah, exactly.
It's a fun new toy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. This is this story next I found, and listeners know, we not every episode we do, a breakdown on the news that we poke at traditional media or radio, but we tend to try to find stories that just like,
we tend to poke at them.
What? So this story is a little bit old. It was an expose-ish on meeting
expose or wine piece.
Yeah, that the local newspaper here in Columbus, Ohio, the Columbus Dispatch, they do every Sunday, I guess it is, meet the dispatch reporter, meet somebody on the dispatch, so that'll last about 15 episodes because they have 15 people on staff. But anyway. So this is meet dispatch digital producer, podcast engineer Patrick Flaherty. From the Columbus Dispatch. So he was talking about their corral of podcasts that they have. And if you would look at what they have, you think, oh my gosh, they're doing like 20 podcasts. This is pretty cool stuff. So I did some digging, and most of the podcasts they have are dead. They're not doing anything with. But his quote in here, that he was asked,
got rid of all the people who were doing the podcast.
Exactly.
They had the dispatch reporters doing the podcasts on the articles they're writing, and you got rid of all your reporters. So the podcasts are gone too.
Right. So he was asked, what is the biggest challenge that he faces? And he says, one of the biggest challenges that I face is getting readers to understand the importance and the value that digital audio and podcasting hold. Being able to grow a podcast and gain a loyal listenership can be a tough thing to do in a saturated market. Okay. That saturated market terminology is just so easy to throw out. Yeah, right. Simply making folks aware that news can be consumed through audio at the Dispatch and not just by reading online or in the newspaper is an ongoing daily challenge. Wait a minute. You're converting all your readers to online. They're online already, and you can't create news content that should resonate with your news readers? And growth is hard?
I don't think they're First of all, they're not considering their audience at all. The
Oh my
people who
God.
are subscribing to newspapers are notoriously aging out and dying. Their
Yeah.
audience is dying.
Yeah.
It's dying.
Right.
And they're not doing anything to replace it. You don't need to be convincing your newspaper readers about the value of podcasts. You need to be convincing podcast listeners of the value of your podcast, because they're already listening to podcasts.
And there are some major newspapers that have increased 20-fold their paywall for podcasts, and it's just been in the news recently that people are paying for good content behind a paywall for news. They're doing it.
And newspapers were some of the first commercial podcasts, because they already had a platform, and they went, hey, this podcasting thing, we should get on it. There was a podcast for every ongoing article, every sport team that the Dispatch covered, there was a podcast for. Soccer, hockey, baseball, football, you had a podcast for it that was a Dispatch product. And what their listenership was, I don't know. You're trying to convince newspaper readers to become podcast listeners. That's not what you need. The newspaper readers love you because you're a newspaper. You need to find the podcasters who don't read newspapers, go, oh, hey, this podcast that this old dead tree company puts out is really good content.
Right. And they're
you're aiming for the wrong audience.
Yeah. They're great examples out there. The Daily is a great example of that. It's part of a newspaper, but they do it differently. It's not the newspaper on a podcast, but some of the podcasts they had, the Ohio, what's it called? Ohio Politics Explained. From what I saw, not very many listeners. The Other Side podcast, which they still promote, is not published for over a year. From the Newsroom, last published in August of 2023. Broken Pledge, which was on college hazing, and he references this podcast in his interview, last published in 2021. So that's a stupid podcast to even reference that you had a hard time promoting.
I can't believe it was a podcast. It wasn't an episode. It was a podcast.
It was a podcast. It must have been, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes, to cover the story in depth, but it covered that college hazing. And I remember
it was a limited time.
Correct. Very specific to a topic. Yes.
All right. Correct. So it makes sense that one wouldn't be published ongoing.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. But he does reference it very heavily in the podcast, in the interview, but it's like, you didn't have anything else you could reference that's not 3 years old.
Well, come on. Broken Pledge. So let's think about as programmers. Broken Pledge, if it's a standalone piece, it's an audio story. That's not even a podcast. It's an audio version of the article.
Right.
You want to create a podcast, create Dispatch Exposed, and every week you cover another story that was a deep dive. So Broken Pledge is just a 3 episode series, and now you're going to go on to police corruption and neighborhood expansion and that kind of violence in school, but that's part of your exposed, your deep dive stuff. It's not just an audio version of the article you printed. So Dispatch just never hung well onto how they could use that tool even early. It doesn't sound like their new podcast producer is any more on the ball.
I don't think so either. And again, I'm going to say, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He probably doesn't get a whole lot of support. Probably,
no,
so he's fighting exposure just as much as we are, honestly.
But they shouldn't have shined the light on him. I mean, you brought this guy out. He's going to complain about it, and you're not going to do anything to fix it. He's probably the next guy to go.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Because they haven't done anything with it. Even the sports, I was kind of surprised. Now, from what I could gather, what they have a Buckeye Extra, they have maybe 3,700 listeners. Cannon Fodder, which is part of the Columbus Blue Jacket podcast, has a little over 1,000 listeners. To me, I don't understand how you cannot have many more listeners than that when you are dead center on. If you're not from Columbus, you don't know this, but Columbus is Buckeye, Ohio State Buckeyes. Anything about Buckeyes.
The other thing to consider, those 2 podcasts are also part of microsites that are dedicated to both pieces of content. There's a Buckeye Extra website. There's a Cannon Fodder website. This is content on those websites. And they were using, at the time these launched, they also own the local TV station.
Correct.
Which they were using TV and print to put people to those pages. They've since divested themselves of the TV station. So now they only have print, and their readership's dying. The people who read the newspaper are not the same people that you're going to build a large podcast on, but those are definitely audience sizes that you could be making profits on.
Yes, exactly. It was just an odd. His interview was just kind of a whiny thing. Yeah, it was whiny, and
Maybe you've got a
considering
consulting gig there, brother.
maybe
Reach out and go, hey, you want
if
some
he's
help with this?
yeah, if he's still employed there. So yeah, and I won't tell him to listen to this episode because it'll.
Listen, man, you don't think people are saying bad things about the dispatch? Come on.
I know that exactly. It's like, wait a minute, you want me to be a client, but you're dissing me on your podcast? Like, well, yeah, if it hurts, I'm sorry.
But we just gave you 10 ideas on how to help yourself.
Exactly.
He's a podcast engineer. He's not a marketing guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a guy who has to go out and find the sponsors for this content.
Yeah.
One idea that makes this thing more sponsorable for him, the fact that he could go back to the sales team and go, I've got over 3,700 listeners to Buckeye Extra. You guys can't monetize this?
Yeah. In some fashion. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, really. Come on. Let's figure out how to do it. Yeah, exactly. So this may be a segment we continue on because the AI is just out there, new stuff all the time, but weird AI
tools. Newspapers. That's the segment we're going to continue.
Right. This next one, weird AI tools no one asks for. And I think even as a listener, if you have an AI tool that no one asked for this, let us know about it. We'll review it, that sort of thing.
But if you see a link to, if there's an AI story about a new AI tool that just launched and you look at it and go,
what?
Why?
Yeah. Why? So
send us the link.
I would love to take a look at it.
Episode.
Yeah, exactly. So the first one you saw recently was with another transcription tool, Descript. Descript. I don't know how they pronounce it. Anyway, talk a little bit about that. It's an AI contact filter. What's going on with that?
Yeah. So with the rise of video in podcasting, which I still don't agree with, it's not a podcast if it's video. There are people who are working with cameras now that maybe they haven't before. And part of working with a camera, especially if you're doing a script that you're reading and using a teleprompter, is when you're reading a teleprompter, it's a game to get the camera to make it look like you're looking into the camera, but you're still reading text that's scrolling on a screen. And it's hard to do. Mm-hmm. If you're referring to notes and you look away from a camera, people are obsessed with making sure they're looking into the camera. And I think that's a wrong thing to concern yourself about. That's not what people are expecting on the other side. If I'm watching a video, I don't want some weird, creepy dude staring back at me like they're looking at me through the camera. Right. That's weird. That's weird and uncomfortable. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you ever watch any sitcom outtakes, if they look too into the camera, it's a bad take. They don't want them looking into the camera. They don't want them staring out of the TV. And I really think that that's the same thing with what you should be striving for with your video casts. Yeah. So this Descript, which has been a pretty good transcription tool, it's been around for a while. Yeah. They added this new thing. Do you have a name for it? I think it's just called eye contact.
Okay. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Check
eye
your
contact.
notes.
It's called eye contact in Descript. Okay. So it's an AI tool that basically paints eyeballs on your eyes so that if you look away or you close your eyes, or it keeps your eyeball staring at the screen. And it's weird. I mean, I've seen worse ones. It's as natural as it can be for this tool, but it's really odd. And if you watch videos that have been created with this thing, even the samples that it has on their page at Descript.com, I think they're weird. It's not your exact eyes. And then they've got an example where they turn it off, they turn it on, they turn it off, they turn it on. And like the whites of your eyes are too white and the pupils are too centered. It's just a weird tool that nobody asked for. Was this a big problem with video stuff? We're recording this now and we're not staring out at the screen.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking a little sideways because my monitor to see you on the screen is off to the right of where my camera is off to the left. If I was just like, oh yeah, man, I'm just going to stare right into it. Just talking just like this. When I have a conversation with somebody out in the public, I don't fucking do this. Sorry, you're gonna have to
Exactly.
beep that. That would
That's
freak you
exactly
out,
right.
man.
Yeah,
That would
right.
freak you out. Somebody just stares
Exactly.
at you and doesn't blink the whole time they're talking to you.
Especially when they
Oh
have
my god.
you have the uplighting that you have, perfect for Halloween. Exactly.
Woo.
Yeah.
You look like a jack-o'-lantern.
It seems as though it's just an addition to, like you said, they may have oversold it. That's like, ooh, look what it does. Look what it does. And okay, then take this into consideration as well, too. That research is showing, okay, you have your podcast on YouTube. Let's put it that way. You have the video version of it. That's playing in the background. Nobody cares if you got eye contact with
Yeah,
it. Doesn't
nobody's looking at it.
matter. It doesn't matter. Now, again, if now let's take this tool maybe one step further. If it's not a podcast, maybe it's a video presentation. Maybe it's that you do want some intimacy with the viewer because it's a training tool. I don't know. It's something beyond a podcast. Maybe, but
Oh man, I
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
about
so.
that. That's questionable too. It's
It's not
strange.
natural.
It's not.
There's a thing in AI and artificial and robots that started with called the uncanny valley, where something looks so real, but there's just something a little bit off about it.
Mhm.
That's the uncanny valley.
Mm.
So that's what this is to me.
Yeah.
Any conversation you've had with any human being, their eye, if they're meeting your gaze, it's hitting your forehead, it's hitting
Mhm.
your nose, it might hit
Yeah.
your left eye, it might hit your ear. Their eyes are moving. They're not staring at you
Yeah.
deeply,
Right.
deeply
Right.
into your
Yeah.
eyes and just talking to you because that's creepy and stalkerish, and they probably have bodies in the basement.
Exactly. So so the video version of this, folks, you're going to probably see a thumbnail
I
that
got to watch it.
that YouTube selects that one right there. That Dawn is staring right into the camera. That's going to be the
Absolutely.
thumbnail artwork that it's going to say, this is what we suggest
And
to
I don't even
use.
know what it looks like because I couldn't look at the video monitor because I was staring at the camera.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, probably a tool we really didn't need. Yeah, exactly. So, you also caught one. You're uh, a tiki guy, Hawaii guy. You love
Oh, this is
that
so
whole
weird.
world, but you found a podcast called HawaiiShirt.net. Talk about
So,
this.
yeah, so uh, I'm a subscriber to Audible. I listen to audiobooks as well as podcasts. And we've had discussions about Spotify before. I listen to Spotify for music playlists. I don't use Spotify for podcasts. Audible, I go to for audiobooks. I do not go there for podcasts, but Audible has been pushing people to listen to
Mhm.
podcasts there. So when I'm searching for a topic, and I mentioned I just came back from Hawaii, so I was looking for books about Hawaii and cool Hawaii history that I could listen to on the plane and kind of psych myself up.
Mhm.
And as I'm doing searches for this topic of Hawaii, it suggests podcasts. And it's a podcast called HawaiianShirt.net, Authentic Hawaiian Aloha Shirts. That's the name of the podcast. Now, I am an Aloha shirt guy. If you've watched past episodes of this, many times I'm wearing an Aloha shirt. I am not today. I'm wearing a Don the
What is that?
Beachcomber shirt.
There you
It's
go.
it's the home of the Mai Tai. It was one of the places I visited while I was in Hawaii.
Gotcha.
So I'm not wearing an Aloha shirt today, but I recently did buy a coffee table book that's about the art and history of the Aloha shirt. So when the podcast came up for this, it's not a podcast I've heard before. I certainly would not have listened to it or subscribed to an Audible, but I wanted more details on it.
Yeah.
I click over to it. Go, this is kind of cool. An Aloha shirt podcast. This will be really interesting. And I click on the listen for the show, and it's an ad. This is not a podcast, except that technically it is because there's an RSS feed that you can subscribe to. You can subscribe to this in any podcast player, in any podcast app. You can subscribe to it on Audible. There are multiple episodes. There's a whole playlist of these
Oh
episodes.
my
And
gosh.
in every single one of them, all they do is spotlight one of the Aloha shirts that they have on their website. It's like if you went to Amazon and you had a podcast that just read the description of office supplies or kitchen
Right.
gadgets.
Right.
That today's episode is on the cork coaster. It's a beautiful addition to any living room, and it protects your wooden coffee table from liquid stains. And if you want them, they're 4 for $1 and you can buy them on Amazon.com. That's the podcast for this Aloha shirt.
Wow. Wow.
This Aloha shirt features fish, and it's available in blue and green, and you can buy them on hawaiianshirt.net. It's
Wow.
horrible.
Wow.
I've coined a new term called spamcasting.
Mhm.
It is generated by AI of some sort. It's definitely a robot voice. It is not a human
Oh,
voice.
okay.
It sounds terrible. It's the word. It's like, this isn't even AI voice. This was like the artificial voices that you could type in and it replied back to you before AI was a thing. It sounds horrible. They could make this sound a lot better if they would use, you know what? I bet you I could take a page on the hawaiianshirt.net website, go to Google Notebook LM, paste in the description, and I get a much better podcast than they were delivering on Audible.
That's where my mind was going too. Is like, okay, create an atmosphere around maybe two people wearing a shirt and commenting about, oh my God, that is so cool. Look at the detail. That is so, getting an emotion
Somehow
around
they've
shirt.
automated this where there's probably not even a human working on it anymore.
Yeah, right.
But here's my problem with it. Audible is a paid platform. Like, you got to be a member of Audible to go in there and buy or use your credits to buy the books on there.
Right.
Amazon certainly has a bunch of spam ebooks. It's become so easy to create ebooks that are available on Kindle that everybody's done so, and they're either free or they're 99 cents. And there's a bunch of them on there that are they're a big ripoff. There's no value in them at all. And Amazon lets us through because Amazon's making a buck off of them as well. There's no value to this being on Audible. Audible's not a major podcasting platform. Why aren't you vetting the content that you're allowing people to distribute on the Audible platform? It's free. It's crap content. You're not charging credits for it. At least Amazon's charging 99 cents for a crap book, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a terrible platform. And I'm like, I can't believe this would get through the vetting process. Yeah. And then I go over to Spotify and search for this. The podcast is on Spotify too. So these guys should have better gatekeepers. If you're going to go there for quality content, you need the curator. You need the curator to go, this crap doesn't work here. Hey, by all means, go post that on your own website. Make it available for anybody to subscribe in their own podcast app. Sure. I'm not saying it shouldn't be out there for somebody. But if I go to Audible, if I go to Spotify, I expect there to be premium content there, not this drivel spamcast.
Yeah. Well, and it gets my creative mind, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. You could have something really creative with this. I forget what the podcast name is off the top of my head, but it's all alive or we're alive or something like that. But what they do is put voice to an inanimate object, like a pineapple or a kangaroo. It puts voices to kangaroo. It's not really inanimate object. So one episode was about a kangaroo and its baby Roo. Oh my God, it was so funny. But because the baby Roo would not leave and baby Roo, his voice was like he was 30 and he wouldn't leave mom's pocket. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
It's a millennial. He moved back to the mom's basement.
Oh, it's so freaking hilarious. But anyway, and the mom is just wore out and stuff like that. But it's that, okay, let's have some fun with Hawaiian shirts. But yeah, obviously that was not the intent of what they want to do. But it's that it gets you creative going, yeah, you could create a podcast or at least a presentation piece in audio form that could actually have some fun and maybe another form of selling product, but describing it versus the visual. Could be kind of fun.
There could definitely be a historical Hawaiian shirt. Art and history of Hawaiian shirt. There's multiple books out on the topic. I paid for one. Yeah. I would have listened to it if it was about the history and artists of the Aloha shirt. I would have become a subscriber, not on Audible platform, but in my podcast list. I would have subscribed to this podcast. But as it is, it's a really bad audio catalog entry.
Wow. Yeah. What are they doing? And I don't know if they even have access to, if you hear something like this, can you tell Spotify going, guys, really? And it's probably not, because they have not, the terms of agreement. It's not racist. It's not inflammatory. Obviously they can take it down. They can, but it's one of those.
On Amazon's product pages, there are links to say, this product's inaccurate, or you want to report something about the
Yeah.
listing. There's no link on any Audible sites to make a complaint about anything, even if it's a bad audio file. Hey, this audio, there's no audio there. There's no way to directly draw a line to say you go through their general support, and we all know how good the support is for reaching out and getting hold of a human at Amazon.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because Amazon owns Audible.
Right. So it's good. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, we may just have a new segment here. I like that. Oh, and by the way, going back a little bit, the LM is language modeling. That's what the LM stands for.
Okay.
I didn't get to insert that early. I'm not going to do editing, but it's
catchy.
Yeah, isn't it? Notebook language modeling still doesn't make sense, but that's what the LM stands for. So yeah, I guess I should have picked that up because that's what your
minds want to know.
Yeah, I just have to Google it, and that's all you got to do. exactly. So, or I have to chat GTP it, whatever. So,
I was going to say they must have went, hey, let's just use letters. It worked for Chat GPT. We're Notebook LM.
Yeah, right. And I'm trying to remember what. I guess LM is not really anything Roman numeral. I don't think that is. I'd have to think about that one. I don't think
it's
LM.
Got to be.
It
think
could
back
be.
to your Super Bowl letters.
I'm trying to think if LM would be good for an M. I think it might be actually, maybe. But anyway, either way. So hey, this episode was full of great ideas that actually have some teeth to it. That have some money that could be made off of it. How can they get a hold of you if they want to kind of pick your brain a bit more and kind of go, I like what you guys say. I want to talk to you a little bit more, Don. I want to talk to you more.
The easiest way to find me is at dontheideaguy.com.
Cool.
And by the way, LM for Roman numeral is 950.
So Notebook 950. Notebook 950.
The Notebook 950. Now that sounds like something.
That's something that you put your the Notebook 950. Okay, that'll be our code for Notebook Notebook 950. All right.
950, 951, whatever it takes.
Right, exactly. There you go. Exactly. And if you got any problems with podcasting, if you got a podcast out right now that you're not real happy with, it's not going where you want it to go, call the dispatch first. No, anyway. Because they'll commiserate with you. At least they'll have a wine party with you. Yeah. Get a hold of me, mypodcastguy.com. You got my calendar there, but we can help you launch podcasts that you want to launch, or if it's just something about a podcast that you're producing right now, it's just not quite there. Just you don't know what's wrong, or we could do a review of it, that sort of thing. Contact us, mypodcastguy.com. We got a booking calendar right there. It's easy to do. Don, as always, time goes so fast. Thank you for joining me. This is good. I think we bring up the problems of the day, and we definitely answer them. I think
solving the podcast problems nobody asked for our input on.
Exactly, without using Notebook 950. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's actually like CLM. It's not quite correct. That was was a Chat GPT hallucination, possibly.
There you go.
I'm gonna fire my AI assistant. I need the Model 951.
Yes, exactly. Oh well. Talk to you next time. Thanks.